Well, now you got into this mess by going down a waterfall. Now, how would you suppose we can get them out of there?
By going up the waterfall?
That's right. Anything's possible in Disneyland.
Welcome, friends. Ooh, the fireworks are happening. Probably can't hear them, but they are happening. It's a special Up the Waterfall After Hours episode.
Late night, getting racy.
Yeah. Just kidding. In this episode, first of all, hello, we're your hosts, Zanna and Scott Otis. And joining us tonight will be our executive producer.
We're trying something different. First time ever on video.
Yes, and the reason why, I mean, you usually shout things out if you want, but we've actually got you mic'd this time, so
we'll see. Hopefully it works. It's a new mic setup, but yeah, we'll see.
It's making you talk louder anyway because you have headphones on, so it's kind of funny. But hopefully that works. It'll all balance out. Anyway, welcome to Up the Waterfall, where we talk about all things Disney, past, and sometimes present, which we're going to do tonight.
Oh my.
This is going to be our first rectangular table discussion. We don't have a round table up here, but that's the idea. And originally I thought maybe we could talk, because this past week, if you're watching in present time, has been kind of crazy with announcements and updates and news events and what have you. But rather than comment directly on these specific news items, I thought we could take this time to kind of discuss and maybe even debate our thoughts on the most recent changes at Disney parks on the whole. So things like, we've touched briefly on homogenization of the parks in our, I think, hits and misses episode. And things like that. Intellectual property, I'm sure, will come up, which we will define and discuss. Things like upcharge events. All sorts of fun stuff like that. So we're going to share our opinions. Scott and I are married. We love each other, but we do not always agree.
Wait, what?
And Christian is bringing us the post-millennial, what's your generation?
Who's to say?
No one can define you. His opinions from a different generation, because we often, the things that we're like crotchety about, he's just like, who cares?
Get off my lawn.
It'll be interesting.
But maybe I'm a bad example, because maybe I just don't care about a lot of that situation.
Well, I think many people agree with your point of view on some things.
To be determined, let us know. Yeah,
exactly. And that's what I was just going to get to also, is that you listening or watching, hello, can give us your opinions on whether you agree or disagree.
Yes.
Or don't care one way or the other about anything that we've discussed. So, that being said, shall we start with your favorite phrase, slippery slopes?
Oh my.
And all that comes with those kind of things, such as alcohol in the Magic Kingdom.
Ooh, you would go there, wouldn't you?
Well, I'm just going to start off with that one because...
Is this a hot take? Should I press a hot take button?
What is your... You can start right in, because I think you're the one that maybe doesn't approve.
Well, I guess so. Here's a little backstory about me. I have actually never had a drop of alcohol in my life.
That's right. Yeah, we haven't really discussed that.
So
many people may not know that.
That's a personal choice.
Right.
So
it's not for religious or like you have a background in your family or anything like that.
Nothing
it's just
like that.
I did not ever want to.
I've seen the crazy things that it can do to people, and I just choose to have my own fun without without the influence.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not trying, I'm not being preachy or anything like
You're
that.
Not well, sometimes you. But I mean, I think when you are is like when we're walking around Epcot during Food and Wine at night, and who isn't preachy at that point in time?
Yeah. Don't get me started on the drinking around the world and the people wearing the shirts and being very obnoxious.
Right. Well, I think that's...
that's the thing.
Right.
That is an absolute thing. We've all witnessed that firsthand, and, some more so than others.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, regarding the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland in particular, that was a thing that Walt had decided quite a long time ago with the opening of the parks, that that he had seen what some of the amusement parks of the day had done, and a lot of that was alcohol sales. And there's that story about how Mr. Bush from the Bush family trying to get Disney to go to St. Louis, where he said, you can't do a park without alcohol. That's just ridiculous. Walt said, no, I'm going to have a very nice, a clean theme park without all of that, without the barking,
the carnies.
The carnies and like that, and alcohol and rude people and trash everywhere. He decided he was going to have a clean theme park, and I'd say he did that. And so that was just an edict that he had from the get-go, and I'm for it. And they've always done that at Disneyland. There is the one exception of Club 33, but to me that's never really been Disneyland, because that's its own thing,
right? Not
anything that the public can see. And then, of course, with the opening of the Magic Kingdom here, that's always been a thing here.
Yeah.
When Epcot opened, they did allow the sales in the restaurants in the countries out there. What are you going to do? But so that is so when they started saying, okay, with the opening of the Be Our Guest restaurant, they allowed, okay, we're going to have some wine that people can only drink at their table. Nobody's going to be, bringing stuff all around the parks, and we're just going to have it at this one location. Well, I think we've seen what's happened. It's, it's a slippery slope.
Yeah.
It's they're now adding it at other locations. And, they do have the alcohol at private parties that are there, that, are not open to the public. We've seen that.
Yeah.
And I'm not really arguing against that. That's a completely different thing. But, so that's the slippery slope that we're talking about. What are your thoughts?
I agree with you to an extent. I do think that the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland especially are kind of like hallowed ground, as it were, because they were like Walt concept ideas or whatever. I don't think that not selling it in the Magic Kingdom necessarily prevents people from either bringing it in themselves, which, I've seen countless tweets and things like that from people doing that, or doing, a monorail crawl before getting there, all sorts of things. However, I think for the most part, it has kept the ridiculousness to Epcot.
I would agree.
Sadly, but, I honestly think, and I'm going to jump into the festival thing a little bit because I think it's kind of interconnected. I think in the next, few years or so, Disney's going to have to do some sort of a policy update or something about the drinking at Epcot. Because
see, I would have agreed with you there, except I would have also said that exact same thing 10, 15 years ago.
It's kind of crazy. And they promote it themselves. Like during Food and Wine, they sell official shirts that are drinking around the world and all sorts of things. And it's kind of crazy that there's no 2-drink minimum or maximum or whatever, anything. There's no
I think anything. There is a 2-drink minimum, the way I've seen it.
So yeah, I honestly, I do fear that it's going to make something crazy have to happen.
Somebody's going to get hurt.
Yeah, because it is now really to the point where if you're a local with small kids, you kind of need to know, do not go to Epcot on the weekends during a festival, because it's just not a fun time. at night, especially.
I agree. Yep.
You can just like see it shift.
That
over time.
I think is the caveat to that, because I think it's really not noticeable until like after 7 p.m. probably.
I've seen it at all.
During the days on the weekends, it's still kind of crazy with like so many groups that come in and do that.
Yeah, because that's their thing.
On a normal
night, that's the reason they're there.
And they'll have like matching shirts.
Yeah,
they have the shirts, they put on the sombreros, and they act all crazy.
I should have looked up some of the like Chardonnay and Rosé puns that they have out now. It's
in Walt script as well.
Oh yes, of course. That's another topic.
No, okay, but going back to the other parks,
yes.
I don't think that's a problem where we're seeing that kind of activity anywhere else. So yeah, but you go ahead.
But I think it is kind of interesting to see, like Disneyland when it opened, and even Magic Kingdom when it opened, had a different kind of feel to it than 5, 10, and now, you know, for us almost 50 years later. It was sort of just a little, not a kiddie area, but it was a lot more just, there was no like crazy thrills and things like that, which that's still true for the most part. There's not like any weird stuff, but I don't know what I'm trying to say here, but
you'll get there. It's okay,
like,
I believe.
you know, just the fantasy environment, I guess, is what you have at most of the Magic Kingdom and Disneyland locations. Just that innocence.
Yeah.
Of an earlier time.
Yeah.
I guess.
I think I've always thought people can go a day without that and still have a great time.
Exactly.
A lot of
That's
fun.
the thing too, is it's not a long monorail ride or walk.
Right. Or at Disneyland it's literally a walk across the Esplanade.
Yeah.
So
did you have any input on that? You're recently 21.
No. I don't plan it. Well, I've already done that quite a bit.
That's true. But I mean,
and by
like,
quite a bit, I mean one time.
That's true. But we haven't been to Be Our Guest, so you have not had anything at Magic Kingdom.
That's true. I don't know that I plan to.
Yeah.
So
I don't think you are the kind of person that's like, yeah, I'm 21. At least that I've seen. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about, this is kind of in the same vein. I think I touched on festivals, really.
You did.
I don't know that we have to elaborate on that.
Well, I mean, what's like if you're talking about Epcot specifically,
that's where the festivals
because
are,
that is where the festivals are. See, I was thinking about it. We were dining at Nine Dragons, and I was looking. We had a window seat, and I was looking across the way, and it was a very busy day. But I was thinking back before festivals about how wide the World Showcase Promenade was.
Oh yes, you did make this commentary.
And of course, there were fewer folks at the time. You know, if you remember, they had the omnibus that would go around, and I love that. They had 3. Was it 3 stops? Might have been 4. Actually, 4 stops around the World Showcase, where you would be able to hop on an omnibus and take a ride around, and get off at whatever stop you'd want to, or just go all the way around. Could you do that now?
No.
And you know, we used to have a parade there as well.
Yeah.
The what was that?
Tapestry
of Nations and the Tapestry of Dreams. Could you have a parade there now? No, you cannot.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. If they had to have a parade there, I mean, they would just have to make it happen, but it would be like insanity.
Well, yeah, I don't know how they would, because with the festivals come the festival booths, and that's the thing I was looking at is where we were seated at that restaurant. There was not only the Joy of Tea, which is now like a permanent location, but there was also the China festival booth as well, which took up a pretty good chunk of the walkway, and then add to that, you know, they had stanchions to get the people through, so that even takes just a little bit more away, and so there's only just a little bit more walkway for all of these people to, you know, they have to go that way, they have to walk one way or the other. It's just very crowded, and so it's like that pretty much all the way around the World Showcase Lagoon.
Yeah.
And so, that's the way the festivals are now. That's where the majority of the booths are. It's just a very, very busy time. Yeah. And then, of course, you add the alcohol to that, and that's where, you know, a lot of people in a small amount of space. Yeah. And then you add that to the limit. So I don't want to necessarily...
and scooters.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, a lot of people have strollers and scooters.
Yeah.
And they're rascals and whatnot.
I think what's so, like, it's really is like the monkey's paw of Disney parks, because they made the festivals during times when it was traditionally less crowded. Excuse me. And they're not less crowded anymore.
They've become so popular that is now a busy time.
Even, I mean, everyone online has been commenting about how crazy busy it has been the last few weeks, where we've had President's Day, and then like the Northeast has February vacation.
Yeah. And then there was the last weekend of the Festival of the Arts.
Yeah. But when the Festival of the Arts first opened, that was the last remaining joyous, least crowded time
I think it's because people just didn't know what that festival was.
Well, I'm just saying, like, there before it existed, like when it was first there, like it was still nice the first year because nobody knew about it yet. And it wasn't even during the week. It was just on the weekends the first year. And the weather is always better during this time, even though it's been weird this year with hot and cold and hot and cold. But anyway, but yeah, it's so like crazy now. The festivals are just bringing more and more people, and the marketing is just really working because
it's very busy.
And that's like the biggest. I guess we'll have to discuss that
because it's interesting because the people are there to have a good time, and that good time is countered by the crowds, just all of that. And so at some point, guests, wouldn't they be like, I really didn't enjoy my day today because of how busy it was. I didn't get to experience all of these things that I thought I would be able to because of that. So, it's a fine line.
It is. And then there's also that component of people saying, well, that's why they're raising tickets so that it is a certain echelon of people that can afford to go to Disney. But that's not the deterrent that I guess people were predicting that it would be. Like, people are still renewing their passes and buying tickets.
They'll curse it, but then they'll still do it.
Yeah, and, the resorts are full, and it's just... It's not a slow time.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess that is going to be countered by, what they're building.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other building.
The other thing that I think people are really noticing the crowds because there's no place for them to go except World Showcase, really. Right.
Yeah. World Showcase, for the most part, is wall free.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a little bit in France. But for the most part, all of the construction is in what was Future World, and that is I don't think I've ever seen as much construction.
Yeah,
maybe when they redid the California Adventure, but it's like on that level.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
No one's come up with a good Epcot wall pun that I've heard.
Walcott, I've heard that.
Really?
I have.
Was there a California Adventure one?
No, I don't think so.
Not that I heard. You
just mean in general?
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah,
anyway,
I mean,
send us your puns.
But I mean, they are building that new, I guess, that festival center.
Yeah.
I don't even
I forget what it's called now.
In the world of what?
Oh my gosh, you're making me look up things that I've put from my mind.
Is it the world of celebration? Because I know there's the world of discovery. There's the
world of celebration is a little bit down the road.
Yeah, it is. It's quite a bit down the. Oh, you mean that celebration?
Yes.
Anyway, but I don't know that necessarily will make things better in World Showcase. I mean, I guess it has to at some point, right? What is it?
I guess it is celebration. World, it's not it's just World Celebration, World Nature, World Showcase, World Discovery.
Oh, whoops.
So, yes,
My
that
apologies.
will be part of celebration.
Yes. So, and I have no idea how long all of that's going to take. But in the meantime, I mean, and they're at it. They're in the middle of all of that. And so I think what first will open would be the I guess, did we even want to get into this right now? I guess we are already into it because we were kind of shifting from festivals to the changes at Epcot.
Well, I think it aligns nicely with the Upcharges events, after hours kind of things, because I have predicted that, and I don't think I'm alone in that that little celebration tower thing. Why can't I?
I don't think it will be little. Also,
is going like the top of it is going to be like
that's going to be a private party kind of a thing.
Fireworks viewing, dessert party.
Like if you think you're just going to be able to stroll up there and check out the view on any given moment, I think you're in for a little bit of a shock.
Well, I think I've also seen like a few tweets of people saying that they don't think it's even going to remotely look like that when it's done.
Yeah.
Just because it's like super ambitious of a concept that with like absolutely no attractions at all, it seems like a really bold way for them to spend a lot of money on like
but
nothing.
Goes back to my
like a super paid thing.
It's like the perfect fireworks.
What
view.
will pay for it would be the
and
money
there's
that they
frozen
way to
dessert
monetize
party
it
right now that's like $100 a person.
Oh my
gosh.
And people are paying it. So
I mean, we did the Cruella after party last year for Mickey's Not So Scary. That was ridiculous.
That was $99 or something.
I'm pretty sure for like
on top of the Halloween party.
On top
ticket.
of the Halloween party,
which,
for like a couple tables in.
Yeah, and you kind of have to decide like, am I going to do this or am I going to go to
like
the Magic Kingdom?
At
You
the
can't
same
do
time.
both. It's impossible.
Yeah, having a hard ticket event during a hard ticket event that already is limited.
People are buying the tickets
because the party itself is only 5 hours, from 7 to midnight, and so people are taking their time and adding more money to take time out of that 5 hours, which is a limited time to see the entire party, and to go to this other more exclusive party in a tight location that doesn't have fireworks views, or I guess it has a view of from one portion of the room to be able to see some parade floats.
Oh, yeah, the Cruella thing. Yeah, I guess if you went outside to the...
But you can't see it from the main room.
No, not at all.
So, that's a lot of money to isolate yourself in that
within
area.
That event, Cruella is there. So you could be standing in line to see Cruella and wasting the time that you've paid to be at the event to get the food and the desserts and whatever.
Yeah. When you could be out there waiting in line to see other characters that you don't have to pay extra to see.
Well, there's no way
extra.
you could. I mean, because the lines during Not So Scary to meet characters and the Christmas party are ridiculous. So, I mean, they're not ridiculous, but you have to decide this is what I'm going to do.
And I guess that's the point.
They should have a third separate event on top of both of those just to meet characters.
That's why I preferred the Villains After Hours thing. There's no characters, so there's no pressure, or even like you can't even think about doing that. It's not a possibility. So just go enjoy.
Plus,
the
there's
night.
like one show, so there's not really a whole lot of pressure to do a whole lot in that amount of time anyway.
Exactly. So I think if you're going to do an after hours event, you should do the Villains. But we'll get to that later. It's Dreamer's Point is the name of the thing.
Okay, going back to that.
Yes.
Yeah, back to Epcot. Yeah, Dreamer's Point.
Dreamer's Point. So yeah, did you have anything else to add?
I'm excited to see it made. I would like to be able to get up there without having to pay for an event.
Mouse Fan Travel will do an event.
But yeah, I mean, because if you look at some of the artwork that they've made for it, it looks like a place that people would be able to go to during the day. But I don't know. It looks like interesting.
Coca-Cola world.
So I am interested in for the whole, just all of the stuff, that will occupy what used to be Communicore West or Innovations West over there. The Moana water play area and just all of the green spaces and fountainy things. It'll be fun to have fountains back in the center of Epcot.
Yes, until they decide they don't want to run them anymore. Just kidding. I don't know if that's...
Ouch.
I think we'll touch back on some of those things when we get to the
we're hopping around
section, IP stuff.
Okay.
But staying with the upcharges discussion, just briefly, I think for us, we look at it, especially as locals, as that's really unnecessary for most of the things. But like I said, I think the villains one, some of them, the after hours things that aren't parties, I think if you were, this is what I've been saying when I write about them and stuff, if you were coming here as a vacationer and you had to get like 5 days park hoppers or something, I would say get one less day, and then during the day go, have a resort day or go to Disney Springs or whatever, and then use that after hours event ticket as that day, because I think you really can ride everything.
Right, but it becomes
it
becomes a lot more prohibitive if you have a larger family, because you're having to spend, what is it, $100 per person,
like $125.
Like $125. If you have a family of 5, that is $625.
Right, but I'm saying take one day off.
Yeah, you take one day off, but the thing is, the tickets are, if you buy more, each day costs less. That extra day is maybe only $10 a day at that point. So you're removing $50 worth to add $625. And yes, it is. No, I'm not.
Math against me.
Well, I math is important, but I do agree that it is awesome to have that amount of time where there are essentially no crowds.
Yeah, I mean,
and you're able to do whatever you want, but it can become quite a price prohibitive for families. That if it's a family of 2, okay, there's scales on it. So,
but I think that's really the people they're aiming all of this stuff at with the VIP experiences that they've been pushing. And I forget, there's another name for the new like luxury add-ons that I forget what it's called.
Like do you remember
collection or
remember back in, I think it was 2015, where they had a thing where when Epcot closed, you could go to like one of their lounges. You could pay an upcharge to, instead of clearing out of the park with all of the other people, that you'd be able to just hang out in their lounge, and they'd have little niblets of food for you.
No, this is the first I'm hearing of it.
I also do not remember,
you don't remember
this
that?
at all.
No.
What is this time frame?
It's out 2014 or 15.
What? Sorry, that was loud.
It was pretty loud.
What do you mean? I was around here then. When did that happen?
You should talk to your boss, because she went to all of those. But anyway, well, I guess that that's kind of when they started to do that little extra add-on thing.
Interesting.
Let me ask this to gauge my knowledge of this situation with these upcharge things. The special nights that they have in Disneyland, like the 80s night, Star Wars night, NITE, are those like an extra charge?
Yeah.
Okay. Because that seems like it makes more sense to me, because that they're all like annual pass holders anyway, where like that seems like a thing that they would want to do. Mm-hmm. But for like all of the tourists that are coming here, already spending like way more money to do that, and then having to spend like way more on top of that, I don't really see what the appeal is of an upcharge event. I think maybe it is then based or geared for locals that are like, I don't know, we hate the crowds.
Like, do you remember when they did the 24-hour things at the Magic Kingdom? That was not an extra charge back then. It was just for all of you who are bold enough, we're going to open up the park for 24 hours. And they had things for sale, of course, and so
JPEG would never let that happen.
And so they, people would buy, things during their 24 hours there. Yeah, but if they were to do that now, they would say, hey, for this amount of money, you can hang out for 24 hours.
That's a good point. Yeah, I mean, and what was the most recent one?
It was a while back.
It was the last leap year. That's right, wasn't it?
Yeah. So I don't think it was 4 years. Was it 4 years ago or 8 years ago?
What year is it now?
It is 2020. So that was either 20.
No, I definitely, because like the last one, I was like, I'm done with these.
Yeah, we did 3 of them. I remember there was the Monstrous Summer, where they showed us Monsters University that one time. Then
the extra Disney day or something like that.
Which was the leap day, I believe, of 2012. Oh, excuse me.
Sorry about that.
That was lunch talking.
My computer. Yeah, I mean, that's so in that amount of time, whatever it's been, that's how things have morphed. And I don't think that would ever happen, like you said, now without being.
I think,
an
they were,
added cost.
that was when they were kind of getting their grounding.
Feet wet?
No, not feet wet, but just kind of getting their legs on the whole social media thing.
That's true, yes.
And
yeah.
so that was a fun little ad that they used to have for that.
Yeah,
The good old days.
it would be a different experience.
Yeah, and I forget when we talked about that, the one episode, when it would be like a totally different thing now, because so many people would
right
just be
around
like, I'm going to vlog
between
the whole
1:30
thing.
and 2 a.m., every person in there would be like holding a camera.
Yeah.
Because they would just all be those kind of people there at that point.
Yeah. Not that we have anything against vloggers.
And then like the next day,
Certainly not.
there's 20 videos uploaded to YouTube. Like, we stayed 24 hours in Disney.
I know. It is crazy. The amount, well, whatever. That's another whole topic. Anyway, I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, and then they're doing an upcoming one for Star Wars themed, right?
In Disneyland?
Right.
Yeah, but I think that's attached to the Star Wars celebration that's happening out there.
Okay. I did not realize that.
But it is like, I think that's just who they're inviting to go to it. I don't know. I could be wrong. I don't pay too much attention to the Disneyland ones because I will never go to them because I live here. So, sad face. But yeah, I mean,
you can dream.
I know. I would have loved to go to the 80s night. That would have been really funny. Although I didn't go to Disneyland in the 80s, so I would have stood out like a
What if
sore
they did a
thumb.
60s night or something really weird and specific?
Here?
In Disneyland.
That would be very weird.
A 2000s night.
Will they start to charge for Dapper Days?
Oh, geez.
Like to
Don't
be able
have
to
any ideas.
to be able to
Interesting.
participate in those kinds of things?
Oh, hold on. Someone's calling me. Bob Chapek?
Sorry.
It is, yeah. I am surprised that, I mean, they now have, like, the Dapper Day is like trademark, selling their own merchandise and stuff, and Disney was selling it. So there must be some partnership happening in there.
Is it
that
still
I'm not...
like run or organized by the original people?
I think so, yeah. And they have like a store now in California. I don't know if it's permanent, but
They
do
do
not
at the
know.
Disneyland Hotel. They have like
Yeah.
that whole convention thing.
yeah, that's right.
There's a whole convention aspect to it. I don't think they
Yeah.
even do that part here.
No, they don't. But they were selling stuff from it at, well, now it's the Epcot experience, so I don't know where they would do it now.
I do not know.
Anyway, we digress.
We do.
So yeah, upcharges. Tell us your thoughts on those.
And we're probably missing something out of that. But yeah, let's keep going.
Well, I mean,
What's your favorite upcharge?
I don't
What's your
have
least
one.
favorite upcharge? I
All
guess
of
we've already
them.
discussed both.
well, I think
We already said
yeah,
Villains
like
After Hours and the
Cruella,
Cruella thing was bad.
like upcharges within an upcharge, I think is silly. Like even before they did the Cruella thing, they would do dessert parties. I think at the Halloween party and the Christmas party. That's silly.
I agree, yeah.
I think some dessert parties can be fun. Like the Illuminations ones were always fun. We never did like an official Disney one. We just always did them with like events that people were running. I do think the regular after hours events are fun if you can afford them because you can ride things and you get the added aspect if you can eat a million Mickey bars to do that.
Yeah, I was thinking about that. They only offer like sodas and water.
Yeah.
And then Mickey bars and popcorn.
Just bring a cooler and a trash
So, yeah.
bag.
There's only so
That's what
much
we
of
were
that.
saying, Melissa.
If they did it like the cast celebration party where they opened
Oh
up
my
all
gosh.
of the restaurants and
That's
whatever we
crazy.
serve there, you can have. Then
That would never happen. Well,
that is true.
maybe
That would
for,
never
like,
happen.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Okay.
Anyway,
Yes.
let's move on to. You want to do homogenization?
Homogenization.
IP?
You tell me. Let's go to homogenization.
Are those the only last two? Because which
No,
would be
we've
better
got
to
other.
end?
I think we should end on IP.
Okay.
Homogenization. We already talked a little bit
We
about
have.
in that last episode or whatever.
I don't remember what
It's
So
in
do
episode.
you
Mrs.
prefer your milk non-homogenized? Is that what
Raw
I-
milk is it for me.
I don't like
Interesting.
Straight
milk.
from the almond.
I don't like any milk. Not
I
even,
prefer
not
mine
even
straight
blue
from the
or
silk
green.
cloth.
But anyway. So, I mean, the point being is that I like my parks around the world to be different from each other. I like for for me to have a really good reason to want, to need to go around the world to see all of these things. And if I can't get to one, I don't necessarily want it here. I want you to be able to strive to be able to go see it.
Right.
Like there should only be one Cars Land.
Well, and there really is only one good one, right?
One good Cars Land?
Yeah.
Right. There's a smaller one at the Art of Animation Hotel.
No, that is the good one, right?
And a tiny one in Disneyland Paris,
much
the studios,
cheaper for us to get
the
to.
Studios Park in Paris. But no, there's the huge one at California Adventure. So yes.
And I think that one was such a success.
Oh yeah.
And I don't know why, like it really did that was like the beginning of Disneyland as a destination now that all of these East Coasters are going to go to. It brought me over there.
Right. To me, that's a success.
Yeah.
But
then why did that make them then say, let's put Galaxy's Edge in both parks?
Yeah, there are two Batus.
Yeah.
And there should be a Batu and another foreign land that we've never heard of in the Star Wars universe. That could be, the same kind of thing.
Experts would say there's two Hogsmeade and Diagon Alleys, and that's probably why they did that.
I don't know.
That's true. But was that in the works, or did they do that after the Galaxy's Edge announcement?
Have it in both coasts?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was before. I think I
don't know when it
one in
opened
Hollywood even opened in like 2014, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I don't know. I guess homogenization is everywhere, saving us from bacteria.
So if you think, like, we're about to get the Tron coaster.
Yes, go ahead.
We're about to get the Tron coaster, which used to be exclusively in Shanghai.
Yeah, you don't like it here.
Honestly, I'm excited to ride it because I love new rides. Do I think that it fits in this Tomorrowland? Like adding a huge roller coaster next to a huge roller coaster? I don't know.
In a like 2 foot wide narrow walkway.
I don't think, maybe they'll retheme Tomorrowland to make it work, but I don't know.
But I think we also haven't seen how it looks, because they're obviously completely redoing how Tomorrowland looks. It's all going back to like the retro futurism stuff, which I really like. But in Shanghai, it does have that like weird, like actual modern futuristic like covering to it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think a lot of people assume that they would do that, but they haven't even put that up.
Yeah, this is all pure speculation.
Well, but
it is essentially going to be
if it was the same as Shanghai, next to the spires.
I completely agree.
Space
I mean, I think it looks cool there, and it would be neat to see it here, but I just don't think it would fit. So, but the fact that the ride itself, I think, is the same, I don't know. I actually don't know if it's the same layout.
I've
maybe
really
it is,
not
maybe
seen
it isn't.
anything of the Shanghai one, but I didn't know that it was as like indoors as the one here.
Yeah, the thing that you've always seen kind of roaring by, that's the only outdoor part.
Yeah, I had no idea.
But I mean, there are so many examples of them repeating an attraction. Smuggler's Run and Rise of the Resistance are the same on both coasts. Mm-hmm. The Voyage of the Little Mermaid. Did I get that?
Well, no,
title
it's
right?
Like Ariel's Undersea Adventure here
or
something like that.
Is the same ride on both coasts.
Yeah, and we have a different skin of the Mater junkyard thing, which they're now redoing in
and
Tokyo.
The alien swirling saucers.
Yes.
Indiana Jones and Dinosaur.
Yeah.
Also.
So
Test Track and Radiator Springs Racers.
Well,
I know.
That's just the same technology, but it's a completely different thing. There's enough examples of them doing the exact same thing that it's kind of sad.
I think it is just a case of we have the blueprints for this. We know how much it's going to cost. We know how to build it.
Yep.
And it's already a success.
But imagine if they had just gone the extra degree to say, we have the blueprints for this, but let's make blueprints for this in addition.
That's sounds like Oriental Land Company talk to me.
Reminds me that the entire
you're right.
2005 marketing strategy of Walt Disney World was specifically that they were bringing in things from every other park to Walt Disney World.
Yeah, I do remember that.
They added
100
Soarin'.
years of.
Oh.
They added Lights, Motors, Action.
Oh wow, that's right.
They added.
It was Cinderella
stage show.
Cinderella from
and then
Tokyo.
A fourth thing that I don't remember.
Wow.
Yeah, That's
Look
right.
at you. I didn't remember that or even know that was a thing.
Is this true?
That was before I thought critically about anything. So, yeah, I mean, and it even goes down to, like, my pet peeves were always, like, the fact that, and I said this on the other show, that even the shopping bags became Disney parks, and they had, like, both castles on them.
Yeah, I mean, like, I remember Disneyland in the past. You'd go to a gift shop, and all of the merchandise in every gift shop all around the park was geared to that location and that location
Magic
only.
Kingdom as well.
And if you wanted that thing, you had to get it right there.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to just go to a generic store somewhere and, it's there too, which is kind of more and more the case.
Yeah.
I honestly feel like Hollywood Studios is the worst about that. Like, every single store there is exactly the same.
Yep.
And I think they are getting better in recent years in terms of merchandise. They are doing some unique, or at least like the same thing, but a different like a Magic Kingdom or a Disneyland and a Walt Disney World version of things.
Right.
Which, now that I've been to both, isn't more annoying because then I want to get both, or maybe even just the Disneyland version.
Yeah, I only want
sometimes.
the Disneyland stuff.
But yeah, I guess it really, to me, it seems like it's more like to counteract people having like guest relations issues. Like, what do you mean I have to go back to Tomorrowland to get this t-shirt? I want it right now where I'm standing in the Emporium.
I would say, well, we don't have it in the Emporium.
Well, that's you. I think Disney just wants everything to be accessible and easy on everybody. And therefore homogenized and the same.
Correct. Disney parks.
What are you going to do? Tell
Even
us.
like half of the Disney Springs stores are the same.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Like, Disney Style is the same as World of Disney, just small.
Yeah.
And there's 2 Star Wars stores that sell exactly the same stuff.
Or even
And
just
trendy. Like, what do they even sell anymore? Because Disney Style is like...
Yeah,
the same
trendy
thing.
is the old, like, fogey version of Disney Style now, but they're both there somehow.
I
Yeah.
was gonna say, even the World of Disney store, the fact that they're essentially the same in Disneyland and here. They sell.
Yeah, that's right.
They've designed them this pretty much the same way. They could have had a unique location, at a unique signature shop at each of the 2 lands.
And I do remember even my first visit to Disneyland, there was things that you could only get at DCA, like when Buena Vista Street, actually, it wasn't my first visit then. Buena Vista Street.
Remember when we wore our little red car trolley
those
shirts?
And the red car trolley shirts were only on Buena Vista Street that you could find them.
That's
and
right.
the Carsland stuff was only in Carsland.
Absolutely.
But I don't think that's the case anymore. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong, Disneylanders. But yeah, who knows?
Homogenization. Disney parks.
Anyway, that brings us to our next topic.
Uh-oh.
A controversial one. Full of much debate.
Uh-oh.
The old intellectual property in the parks.
Ooh.
Now,
In some places it's good. In some places, not so much.
yes, we were talking a little bit before we hit record, and intellectual property in and of itself is pretty much everything that Disney has created. That's its intellectual property.
Yeah, I mean, like when Disneyland opened and they had a Peter Pan's Flight attraction. That's IP, right?
Yeah, but I mean, just like by virtue of Disney creating something, that's their intellectual property.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So it's not necessarily, people use it all the time to mean like the Disney movies coming into the parks or Marvel movies or whatever. But technically,
I guess because
I couldn't open up an Expedition Everest down the street.
that is true.
That's their intellectual
but as
property.
far as I'm concerned, like Expedition Everest, as an example, was not based on an IP.
Correct.
And so I always consider that it's an original story.
Yeah. But I think what most people don't like, and not what I don't like, is when it's just basically, here's the cheapest way we could possibly bring this thing that happens. Maybe it's based in this land, whether or not it's mythical. Yes, I'm talking about Norway.
I was going to say, that was the big controversy back in the year 2014.
Yeah, I got in Twitter fights about that.
Oh, yeah. So they, back in 2014, they said, we have this popular IP and that came out, and people loved the movie. It made a bazillion dollars, and then they had the meet and greets with Anna and Elsa, and people would wait 5 hours just to meet them. And so therefore, it's only natural, since that movie was based on Norway-ish, that let's turn our Norway World Showcase Pavilion into Arendelle. I have checked the maps, and it doesn't say Arendelle on the Epcot maps. It still says Norway.
Well, that's good at least.
Yeah, but the attractions that you can find within it are based on that film, that IP.
And we've said before that when they created the Royal Summer House next door, I mean, the Imagineers involved in that project really did go to Norway. They got, authentic Norwegian architecture and specific examples of houses and the
filmmakers of that movie did also.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's true. But, it's different when it's a cartoon. I guess my biggest issue I've realized is when it's just like, I don't know, I guess it's just like the modern cartoons you don't go in there expecting to see as an adult.
Well,
but I guess if I had like little kids, I would.
I always on Twitter see people being like, please add Coco to Mexico. It seems like the number one, like a lot of people want them to redo that ride as that.
Yeah.
Which is, it's like it's already had like an IP makeover to be.
Yeah, with the Three Caballeros. And they've added
El Rio del Tiempo.
Yeah, and I guess there's, because there's adding a property to an attraction or theming the whole attraction to that IP. Because I mean, it's
World Showcase is just a touchy area.
It really is, because
for
like
us Epcot purists,
like they're adding Remy's
Yeah.
Ratatouille Adventure,
which
or something like that.
I'm
Remy's
okay
Rollicking
with.
Roadsters?
I don't know.
Because the movie itself is such a love letter to Paris.
Right. I guess
It
I'm
almost
more
seems like
hypocritical than I realized about this, you know.
It's tough because I don't think we had a problem either when they added the Three Caballeros.
But also
to Grand Fiesta Tour.
With the Remy, they added to France.
Yeah.
They didn't
I think
take out Impression de France.
We've just brought up three
in.
completely different things, I think. Because I think Frozen, first of all, not actually in Norway.
Yeah.
But separately takes over the ride that's already there.
Mm-hmm.
Mexico, with Three Caballeros, it just like adds to the ride that's already there, changes some stuff, but it's still exactly the same ride.
That's true.
And I think a lot of people assume that they would have Coco be really the same thing, more or less. Ratatouille
I would think so.
is an additional thing. They don't take anything out or
That's right.
change anything. It's a separate thing entirely.
Yeah.
So. And then they're also adding Mary Poppins to the United Kingdom.
Oh, right. But the new Mary Poppins. I'll get to that in a second.
Okay.
But I just want to comment on the Coco thing. I think because the movie Coco also was very, literally based in Mexican culture.
That's
and,
true.
You know, the Day of the Dead and the ofrenda and the whole thing. I think they could do a beautiful job redoing.
Because they've already celebrated that subject matter itself within the attraction that we've already come to enjoy. Not just the Gran Fiesta Tour, but even El Rio del Tiempo. They've always kind of done that. So I think that would be a perfect match.
Yeah. And I mean, I loved the original ride. It was weird and crazy and fun.
Oh, yeah.
I like it the way it is now, I guess also, but if you want to get technical, it should be in South America, not in Mexico, because that's where they're from. So that's always been a sticking point for me.
Where, who's from?
The Jose Carioca and
Panchito.
Them.
Well, Panchito is specifically from Mexico.
He's from Mexico?
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jose
is from Brazil.
Yeah, see? So it's not like a perfect fit.
That is true. I guess they're visiting Panchito's land.
Maybe.
And that's where Donald gets lost.
Panchito, the lamest of the Three Caballeros.
I disagree. I disagree.
I'm willing to fight for my boy,
I don't
Jose
fight.
Cariocas.
I like him.
Wait, Panchito, you're saying is the lamest?
Yeah.
He's my favorite.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
Oh my gosh. His butt in...
He does have a good butt.
in Viva Navidad. Come on.
No, I
Sorry.
will agree
He
with
shakes
that.
a tail feather in that. Yes,
This
that's
is. I'm not being.
I'm just
a
more of
very
a karaoke
good
guy.
person commenting on his butt, but
true. I mean, but yeah, Panchito, he's pretty cool, and I like Donald too. I'm not saying Jose is bad, but I like them all.
Wow, guys.
Fun fact.
Anyway,
Harkening back to last week in our episode on the Contemporary, on Grand
yes.
Canyon, but we mentioned the Contemporary in that blog post from Passport to Dreams. There was they showed the paintings in the Fiesta Fun Center. I didn't really comment on this because it wasn't about the Grand Canyon, but in that original Fiesta Fun Center that was called something else originally, they had Panchito in his original colors, which I think was just white, wasn't it? In there, he was dancing with another thing. It looked white to me. Maybe.
I'll have to take a look.
All right. Well, check that out, and let us know if I'm wrong.
Interesting.
Anyway, I digress yet again.
There's a lot of digress.
I kind of like go both ways with the Mexico boat ride, because I do like that it does a lot of the history and architecture of all parts of Mexico, even though they took out, the ballet folklorico stuff from the beginning. Mm-hmm. But I still think they could make Coco, and I think it's like Coco is such a visually
it's a stunning film. Oh yeah,
film that they could do a lot of fun stuff with that.
Yep.
Anyway, who knows? I do think it's going to happen at some point.
Yeah.
I think. I mean, in the Epcot experience.
Yeah, I was going to say, in the Epcot experience, if you look at the model that's in the center of the room, if you look at the Mexico pavilion that's on there, it's got those giant guitars, which are straight out of the movie Coco.
Yeah.
So you go, yeah. And so, as I mentioned before, they're also adding Mary Poppins to the United Kingdom, which I'm very excited about.
But it's the new Mary Poppins. Yeah,
I was a little puzzled by that, but I'm okay with it because to me they're intertwined. It's the same Mary Poppins, just at a different time.
I agree.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it grew on me. I liked the colors of the movie, and I liked I don't want to get I remember things I didn't like about it. I don't want to be
sure.
Yeah,
you don't want
that's okay.
All right.
I had some issues with Jack.
Wow.
Oh, that's right, you did.
My boy Lin-Manuel.
I officially did not have any issues with Jack.
That was the last movie review I wrote. You took over after Mary Poppins, I think.
But yeah, so so there is that. There's a lot of IP, I guess, is what we're getting at. Pretty much you could go as far back, and I'm sure you can go back even farther. You remember when Finding Nemo was added to the Living Seas?
Mm-hmm.
To some people did not like that. Some people do.
I was not.
Here's the thing: if you go back there, they had already shut down the little sea cabs, the little ride, and they were gathering dust and not being used at all. Now there is a fully functional and even longer ride. It does go through the story of Finding Nemo, as opposed to the more educational aspects of the Living Seas.
Yes. Well,
but
the ride may be longer, but it's not looking all at the aquarium.
That is true, but it does have a fun climax of being, going right through there.
I think that original Epcot Center spoiled many of us, our
including
age,
both of us. Yes,
for original attractions.
Oh, yeah.
With their own storyline. World of Motion, Horizons, Journey into Imagination, and Spaceship Earth, which is still there. That's getting redone. I guess we could talk on that.
But yeah.
There's talk that there might be IP added, but no one knows for sure.
I just don't see how they could be. But who knows?
Somehow. I don't know why they would.
I mean, they've released an image of the Egyptian scene with a lot of lights. And, we had previously seen on what they showed at the D23 Expo that there was kind of like a flowing bit of light, pixie, kind of like pixie light. So that's kind of what we're seeing. I think that's fine. But, it'll be interesting to see what they do add, how things are changed. Will there be a cool narrator or not? And will there be IP added or not? I don't know.
Announcing the narrator of Ty Burrell again.
Well, I'll tell you
I
what.
was thinking that, and I was like, God, I hope that's not.
Ty Burrell did the new movie.
Right there.
Oh, yes. Awesome Planet in the Land. And I think it is absolutely fabulous.
I'll see it eventually. I still haven't gotten over there. It's been too darn crowded at Epcot.
Oh, that's right.
But he also did the color thing before.
Colortopia, yeah.
He's
Which
got-
I like
he's
that
got a
too.
connection.
He does have a
Epcot.
fun voice, but I don't want to hear him in that many different things. He's already in this. I don't think they would do that.
I agree.
I did get a lot of fun suggestions.
I'm very interested to see what will happen. Because there's
Name
been
a few.
a long
Tom
history.
Hanks.
Tam Hanks?
Yeah.
Okay.
Which I hadn't
I mean,
thought
Tom
of.
Hanks.
Yeah.
Sorry.
And
I like Tom Hanks'
Doing
voice.
his Walt Disney.
oh God,
Now, Pam.
you just won $20 by riding this ride. Yeah. Anyway, let's see who else. Well, I said Morgan Freeman. Someone else said Morgan Freeman also, but that was before I thought of Tam Hanks. That's what we call him from.
Tam Hanks.
I don't
It's
know.
not from anything.
It's not from anything. We just made it up a while ago.
I'm sure we're not the only ones.
Someone said Scarlett Johansson. which
She
would
does
be
have a good
interesting.
voice.
Okay.
I don't know if I like her narrator voice. I just like her.
I've heard her in
Being an actress
commercials
voice.
before.
What about
Yeah.
Kristen Shaw?
Whoa, that would
I've
be a
also
whole
heard-
different.
Wallace Shawn.
I've also heard Neil deGrasse Tyson's.
If he's the voice, I'm never writing it again. Sorry,
I disagree with you. I bet that you would.
I would have to ride with earplugs. I'm not a fan of his voice. Sorry, Neil, if you're not listening.
Of who?
He's not.
Neil deGrasse
Neil
Tyson.
deGrasse Tyson.
Oh yeah.
I am.
Someone else said Benedict Cumberbatch.
Wow. Could you imagine?
I know.
Benadryl Cumberbund.
Oh my gosh. What about
Interesting. Oh my gosh.
Chiwetel Ejiofor? Has a cool voice too.
Ooh, yeah. Or Idris Elba.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm very interested.
Is this how we end the show? We just keep naming.
no.
Yeah. I forgot there was other ones that people
Because
said.
there's also more IP than just Epcot too, so we can.
Is there? What, like Star Wars Land?
There's
And
IP
Pandora.
everywhere.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I mean, I guess the biggest. Let us know what your guesses are for narrator, by the way, before we move on.
Yeah, please do.
I need more suggestions. Pandora, I guess, was the most surprising, IP crossover event that's happened
I
to
think
date.
they did that very well, in my opinion.
I think that it stands on its own, regardless of the movie it came from. I don't think you have to
that's
see the
why I
movie.
think
Yeah, you don't need
succeeded.
to see the movie. It's not really based on the plot of the movie, other than
And it's not like
the
there was.
overarching theme of just
Yeah, and it's not like there was a huge fan base clamoring to have attractions they could ride.
Maybe they weren't clamoring, but it was the number one
You love to throw
movie.
that out.
Well, I mean, it was.
I know. I didn't
Well,
see
I
anything
think
number
like
one
70
movie.
I think the
box
difference
office.
is that like after that, everyone kind of forgot about
Yeah,
that. So Pandora still works for knowing basically nothing about it.
It had a good
going into the land,
environmental
I really didn't
message.
know.
yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
honestly,
so it works in the park. I think.
I don't think you need to see the movie even after,
No.
because I've heard stories of people, being there with their kids, and the kids saying like, "There's a movie of this place."
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Whereas I think in
It doesn't
Galaxy's
matter.
Edge, I think if you were to not know anything about Star Wars somehow,
That's true.
it would be honestly pretty lame. It's just
Yeah,
like
it would be very weird.
mostly
Like, why are
dry,
people
and
dressed
on
like
the,
this?
The
And-
rides are very story based.
Yeah,
Whereas
Yeah.
in Pandora, they're really not. It's just kind of like, look at these pretty things.
that's
and
true. And they
fly.
explain. Yeah, they explain everything that
Yeah,
you need
exactly.
to know.
No one paid. The last 15 times I've been on Smuggler's Run, no one even watches the little Hondo intro on the screen right before
Yeah,
you
right
get
before
in.
you go in. That's
No
funny.
one pays attention to
I
that.
think that's because they do a very bad job at putting people in that room to be able to see it.
The last time, this is actually a faux pas. The last time I went on that ride, literally, maybe yesterday, was I there?
Yeah,
I think
you
so.
were there yesterday.
They have that room where you watch it on the screen, and they have the little things on the floor. So it's just your 6 people.
Mm-hmm.
My group got loaded in there while the other group was still in there.
Whoops.
Yeah, so we watched them also board the same Millennium Falcon that we
Oh
boarded.
no!
But also none of them I was by myself, so none of the other people in my group spoke English. I'm pretty sure.
Oh,
But
they
But
just thought
still,
that's the way
not
it
an
was.
excuse.
Then, yeah, that's weird. It's weird when they set up these elaborate things to keep the storyline of
Exactly.
an
That's
attraction
why I
going,
was like,
and then
imagine
they break
them-
them themselves.
Them spending so much time designing like
Yeah.
that little thing, and then they're just like,
Yeah,
who
because
cares?
like in that
months
attraction, Smuggler's Run, as you enter the first pre-show room, the doors between that and the door and the room that has Hondo in it, with where you can see the Millennium Falcon flying above,
like the actual animatronic.
Yeah, those doors should be closed.
Yeah, which I think actually they were.
They
this time.
were, but then they've gotten to a point where they've kept them just open.
No, I'm saying this like yesterday when I went, they were totally
I think
closed.
in some, I think it might be at Disneyland or somewhere. It's either, there's only 2 of them, but they don't always keep them closed, and
Disneyland
they
or
always
somewhere.
should be closed in between the
Yeah.
2 loads.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it's very important to the story, in my opinion.
But I think Disney operations is notorious for making shortcuts
And
as time goes on. With,
and I'll tell you the
pre-shows
worst offender of that is the dinosaur attraction.
I was thinking that exact thing.
Because it that the pre-show movie is super critical to the entire story, and then what they do now is they start the movie, and then they start loading that room.
Wow.
And so if you're unlucky to be the last person put in that room, you've missed 75% of the pre-show, which is very important to the story. And even if you're in the first 20% of the folks that have been loaded into the room, you've still missed a little bit.
Yeah.
And to me, that's wrong.
I'm sure their excuse to that would be that like
to get
it's been
people
open
through
for so long.
Yeah.
People
But
know,
no,
and
they-
they're like just trying to load it. But
I agree
This
with
is
that.
where his little
but
stickler.
they need to present that attraction as if everyone seeing it is seeing it for
I
the
agree.
first time. They should load the room fully and then start the film.
which is why I agreed that it's really mind-boggling that they're already doing that for like
Yeah.
the Galaxy's
Yeah,
Edge stuff.
I was very
It's
sad
very
to
odd.
see that. So,
What are you gonna do?
and we
talk
kind of
about
got
it on a
and we
podcast.
kind of got away from our original
I
talk
know,
of IP,
but
but
that's okay.
it's a hot topic.
It is a hot topic. Let us know your thoughts. If you're okay with it. I mean, I said briefly that Epcot Center spoiled us. I don't know that we will ever see an original themed attraction again.
Yeah, because I mean,
in
there's
our
a
country.
good history of that. Pirates of the Caribbean, when it first came out in 1966, was original. 1967, and the Haunted Mansion, when it came out in 1969, was original. We've had other examples. Soarin',
Yeah.
Expedition Everest.
We need movies on those two to expand the
So-
Disney cinematic universe.
Yeah, where's Steve Gutenberg to be?
Yeah, I mean,
in,
and those first two I
Expedition
mentioned
Everest
were
movie now,
were
yeah.
so impressive that they made movies off of them.
Right.
So,
But I think with Expedition Everest, they did such a great job, and they made such a cool animatronic, and then it broke, and they never fixed it. And I think they're going to forever point to that as like, we wasted all this money on that. I don't know what the issue is, but
I think the issue is that it's such a big thing that it's hard to go in there and fix it with like
without
because it's
I
also
guess we did hear that
at the time
it would have
was
to be
like,
shut down for
yeah,
2 years or
exactly.
something crazy.
It was like the only real
Yeah.
big attraction there that they didn't want to just turn it off.
well, now there are other big attractions
Yeah.
there. Maybe it's time.
Are there?
Because
Oh yeah, Pandora. Sorry.
yes, because I do remember seeing it
Yeah.
in
I don't.
A mode, and it is phenomenal.
I think I went on it one time while it was like that.
I've
I
seen
don't
it
know.
many times. And
I've
I
only been on
loved
once,
it.
and I
And
probably
it
had my
was
eyes closed.
scary because you.
I don't want that. I'm glad I didn't see it. I'm scared already.
It's a scary thing. The Yeti's in there. You're not supposed to like crash his disco party.
That's the thing. But we are invading his turf, so he's just trying to protect his land.
Okay.
He's not
well,
a bad dude.
But you have to appease him by throwing your hair ties on the mountain.
Oh right.
That's like what you have to do.
That's true.
That way he just has a dance party in the cave instead of trying to attack you.
Anyway, I don't think we're going to have time to get to our final thing that we were going to discuss, which was grooming standards.
Oh, I guess that'll have to wait.
It'll be a whole separate 2-hour 2-hour podcast with Scott ranting about grooming standards.
Wow, what a
I think it was definitely going to be a Christian and I versus you situation on that, so probably better left unsaid.
I will say that Walt had thoughts on this.
Yes, but Disneyland was created in 1955,
Yeah.
and
Yes,
times
it
have
was.
changed.
This is a glimpse
so.
of the battle to ensue.
I'm not saying full facial piercings and face tattoos on Main Street, USA. I'm just saying it's 2020. People can grow a beard,
People grew beards back in the 50s.
As someone with
Exhibit
facial hair
A.
and tattoos who also worked there, I approve for the change. That has not happened yet, but I hope will.
Well, I mean, you can have a beard as long as
You
you're-
can. And
everything's
also,
connected.
places in Disney Springs allow you to show tattoos. But it's only newer things with newer contracts.
Mm-hmm.
Very random.
Like CityWorks. Anyway.
Anywho.
That is a slippery slope, I guess, because then, where do you draw the line with tattoos? Is your Chipotle tattoo acceptable, but not a, if you had a universal tattoo?
Is this acceptable?
I mean, that one's
It's also hidden, so
not
never
offensive,
mind.
I don't think. Anyway, that'll be another time, perhaps.
Yes.
You can sneak that argument in later.
We'll be sure to put that on put a pin in there.
But let us know in comments anywhere, Facebook, the YouTube video, the blog post that will accompany this, what your big debates are with your family, or just maybe yourself if you argue with yourself a lot about changes at Disney.
I do that all the time.
Things have gone wrong, or have there been changes for the better? We didn't really talk about those, but
I want people
think
to,
there
if
have
they
been.
disagree with me, directly tweet at me.
okay. Well,
On
they'll have to
Twitter.
figure out how
Start
to
a
spell your
fight.
name first,
Yeah.
your Twitter name.
But I was going to say, we have talked about some positive things in there, too.
Yeah.
It hasn't just been rants.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll
But
have
yeah.
to listen back, and I already blacked out and forgot
Some
what we said.
we've said that some IP is good.
Oh yeah, that's true. So yeah, we thank you, of course, for listening to another crazy episode of
this
Up the
one
Waterfall.
was absolutely zany.
Yeah, let us know if you enjoyed having Christian jump in and comment with us. We'll probably do more rectangle table discussions in the future. Maybe we'll have some guests on.
Ooh.
Who knows?
Maybe you will be on our show.
Drop us a line. We would love if you subscribed to us on iTunes or Google Play, wherever you get your podcasts. Rate us on
Oh my gosh,
those
please rate
things.
us.
That would be fun to get a review from someone that actually listens and tell us your thoughts, what you liked. Recommend us to a friend. We're still a young podcast trying to make our way in the world. And anyone you can tell about, if you liked it, or maybe you thought we were ridiculous and want people to hear how silly we sound, that's fine too. Tell your friends, give us a thumbs up on YouTube and iTunes, and 5 stars and all that good stuff.
That's right.
So yeah, thanks for listening.
Up the waterfall.